Today we are going to begin with plant kingdom. In biological classification, in the initials of the chapter, we have learnt about systems of classification, complete systems of classification from 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 kingdoms of classification. That is for all the organisms. But only for kingdom Plantae, again we have systems of classification. Systems of classification, which includes first artificial system of classification, which is also known as sexual system of classification. Followed by natural system of classification, and phylogenetic system of classification. Okay. First is artificial or sexual system of classification. Here if you observe properly, in artificial or sexual system of classification, this is proposed by two scientists, we will call them as proponents. Who are the proponents? Means who proposed this artificial system of classification. It is Aristotle and Linnaeus. What did they consider? They have considered vegetative characters, means how the root is, how the stem is, how the leaves are. Based on that, they have classified the plants. Okay, classifying plants means they have grouped the plants which have similar vegetative characters into a specific category. Okay, grouping the plants which have similar vegetative characters into a specific category. Okay, so they have considered, Aristotle has considered vegetative characters. But Linnaeus has also considered some sexual characters, specifically androecium structure. Androecium structure. So then the equal weightage, listen everybody, concentrate here. So the equal weightage is given both for vegetative characters and sexual characters. But you think vegetative characters of any plant will be changed according to the environment in which it is living. You can take two different aloe vera plants which are in some other place and here in Hyderabad. You can see the variants of the vegetative characters. So as vegetative characters are variable based on the habitat in which it is living, taking vegetative characters into consideration is a big drawback. Second drawback is giving equal weightage to vegetative characters and sexual characters. So what are the drawbacks here? Equal weightage to vegetative characters and sexual characters. Who are the proponents of artificial system of classification? Aristotle and Linnaeus. Why is it also called as sexual system of classification? Because they have considered the androecium structure. Okay, giving equal weightage to vegetative and androecium structure or sexual characters is the major drawback of artificial system of classification. Second is natural system of classification. The proponents of natural system of classification includes Bentham, George Bentham and Joseph Dalton Hooker. What did they consider? Not just outer morphological features like root, stem, leaf, but they have also considered anatomy, they have also considered cell biology, they have also considered embryology. So all the external and internal characteristics of a plant are considered for classifying them. Okay. All external and internal characters. Considered. Got it, ma? Next is what? Phylogenetic system of classification. The name itself is saying, firstly, who are the proponents of it? Engler-Prandtl, Hutchinson, and Takhtajan. These are different scientists who have proposed phylogenetic system of classification, wherein along with external and internal characters, evolutionary relationships are also considered for classifying them. Along with external and internal evolutionary relationships also considered. These are the three systems of classifications you have to remember: artificial, natural, phylogenetic. Who are the proponents? What is the drawback of artificial system? What are the considerations for natural system? What are the considerations for phylogenetic system of classification? Got it? Now comes the concept of taxonomy, that is numerical taxonomy. Once this is done, we will move there. Done, everyone? Numerical taxonomy or phonetics. Okay, numerical taxonomy or phonetics. Here all the characteristics of the plant, okay, be it external features, internal features, all are considered at a time. Okay, how? By using the database. Okay, all the characters are given with the signs of plus, minus, 0, and the database will be stored in the computer. Okay, whenever a twig is analyzed, all the characters are analyzed or considered at a time. Okay, that is numerical taxonomy, which is also known as phonetics. Okay. If at all cellular constituents are considered for placing them in different taxon, for placing any living organism into different taxons, that is taxonomy, right? So most advanced thing is numerical taxonomy. Apart from that, we have two more, that is cytotaxonomy and chemotaxonomy. Okay. Cytotaxonomy, DNA structure, DNA behavior is considered. Structure, behavior and number of chromosomes, these are considered in cytotaxonomy. Chemotaxonomy, all the cellular constituents present inside the cell are addressed for the chemotaxonomy, are considered for what? Chemotaxonomy. Understood? Numerical taxonomy, cytotaxonomy and chemotaxonomy. Next, starting with the classification. Kingdom Plantae is primarily divided into two divisions. One addressed as cryptogams, which are non-flowering plants, and second are phanerogams, which are flowering plants. Right. As such, you have 5 divisions. Under cryptogams, what are the divisions? First is Thallophyta, that is algae. Second, Bryophyta. Third is Pteridophyta. Okay, and from phanerogams or flowering plants, you have two. One is Gymnosperms and second Angiosperms. Gymnosperms and Angiosperms. Clear with first systems of classification. Next about taxonomy. Numerical taxonomy, you are clear, right? Just give me a minute. We will continue with this, no problem. First we have to go through what? Algae. Numerical taxon. Later you can write, I will save it. Algae or Thallophyta. What are the characteristic features to it? All the algae are primitive plants. Okay, they are primitive plants. Second is they are chlorophyllous. Okay, they are chlorophyllous, purely autotrophic, and they exhibit great diversity in morphology from unicellular forms to multicellular kelps. From unicellular forms to multicellular kelps, they exhibit a great diversity. Okay, and what is the habitat of algae? Mostly aquatic. Mostly aquatic. It can be fresh water or marine. Few of them are epizoic. Example over sloth bear. Just now we have seen one image, right? That is of what? Sloth bear. Sloth bear, usually it is white in color. Above the sloth bear, this algae will grow and completely it is camouflaged to what color? Green. It is completely camouflaged to green color, so that sloth bear can escape from the predators, whereas algae gets shelter over the sloth bear. Understand? These are the three different habitats of algae. Apart from the habitat, considering different pigmentation of algae, stored food materials, which is reserve food material. Okay, pigmentation, reserve food material, type of cell wall, type of cell wall. They are classified into three classes based on what? Pigmentation, reserve food materials and types of cell walls. They are classified into three classes. Shall we move? Of which first class is what, ma? Chlorophyce. The cell wall of chlorophyce has what? Is composed of cellulose. Above cellulose there is pectose. Okay, above cellulosic cell wall what is present? Protein rich pectose layer is present. Second is reserve food material. Inside the cell there are chloroplast organelles that are present. Inside chloroplast the pyrenoids are stored. Pyrenoids. Okay, pyrenoids consists of proteins and starch. Majorly starch, along with starch proteins are also present. What type of pigments? Pigments are present. Pigments are present inside the chloroplast itself. Over the thylakoids pigments are present. What type of pigments? Chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B. Now coming to the diversity of chlorophyce or green algae. Unicellular forms include? Good. Chlamydomonas, chlorella, Spirogyra. And then I will check the notes of everyone. Colonial forms includes volvox and Eudorina. Filamentous forms include Spirogyra, Cladophora, Eulothrix. Spirogyra, Cladophora and Eulothrix. Done ma? This is about chlorophyce. Now we will move on to asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. How is that performed in chlorophyce? What are different types of sexual reproductions? Done? We have three modes of reproduction ma: vegetative, asexual and sexual reproduction. Vegetative reproduction is via fragmentation, asexual reproduction is by zoospores, which are motile or non-motile? Motile spores. And during unfavorable conditions, if at all any spores are released, and in favorable conditions they are starting to germinate, such spores are known as hypnospores. Hypnospores. Got it? Next is sexual reproduction, is of three types ma. One is isogamous, second, anisogamous. Third, oogamous. Isogamous, where male gametes and female gamete will be similar both structurally and physiologically. They will be similar both structurally and physiologically. Best example is Chlamydomonas. And you can also take the examples of Spirogyra, and Eulothrix. In Eulothrix you can see similar motile gametes. Spirogyra will have similar non-motile gametes. Anisogamous, if male and female gametes, any of them are either differing structurally or physiologically, it is addressed as fusion of such gametes is known as anisogamous type of sexual reproduction. Example you can take is Eudorina. Oogamous type of reproduction, small motile male gamete fusing along with large non-motile female gamete. Small motile male gamete fuses with large non-motile female gamete is what type of reproduction? Oogamous type of reproduction. Example you can take is Volvox. Done ma with Chlorophyceae? Once, let us have a quick review. First, about plant kingdom, divided into cryptogams, phanerogams. Cryptogams include Thallophyta, Bryophyta, Pteridophytes. Thallophyta, Algae. Next, phanerogams, Gymnosperms and Angiosperms. Next, if you observe, algae shows greater diversity in morphology, same like fungi, left from unicellular forms to higher multicellular forms. Habitat is mostly aquatic, freshwater and marine. Few of them are epizoic, which lives over the animals, over the surface of animals. Best example is sloth bear. Sloth bear is getting camouflage activity, algae is getting shelter over it. Next is Chlorophyceae members. Chlorophyceae or green algae is the first class. It is classified, 3 classes the algae is classified into based on pigmentation, storage food material and type of cell. First, Chlorophyceae. We have different forms of them, morphological diversity. Unicellular includes Spirogyra, Chlamydomonas, Chlorella, of which Chlorella and Spirogyra are used as protein supplements for space travelers. Okay, these are used as protein supplements for space travelers. Colonial algae, Volvox and Eudorina. Volvox diagram is given in your NCERT. Next, filamentous algae, Spirogyra, Cladophila, Eulothrix. Eulothrix is the diagram which is given in your NCERT. Cladophora is the experiment we have learnt in photosynthesis by E.W. Engelmann to draw out action spectra and absorption spectra. Got it, no? Now, if you look into the cell specifically, the cell wall of Chlorophyceae composed of cellulose over which it has pectose also. And inside the chloroplast you have storage bodies called as pyrenoids. They have both proteins and starch. And the pigments which are present over the thylakoids include chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B. Clear all? Reproduction, vegetative, asexual and sexual reproduction. Vegetative reproduction is via fragmentation, asexual reproduction via zoospores which are motile and hypnospores which are released during unfavorable conditions. Next is sexual reproduction, can be isogamous, anisogamous and oogamous. Isogamous, you can see the example of Chlamydomonas, which is unicellular, and non-motile gametes, non-motile isogamous, Spirogyra, motile isogamous, Eulothrix. Anisogamous example, Eudorina. Next oogamous is Volvox. Now we look into the life cycle, we look at the end. Now next is what? Brown algae, that is Phaeophyceae. Brown algal members. Phaeophyceae or brown algae. Okay. Cell wall of this is composed of cellulose. Above the cellulose there are hydrocolloids. What is the hydrocolloid of Phaeophyceae members? Algin is the hydrocolloid, and inside which the storage bodies that are present are laminarin and mannitol. Okay, and chloroplast contain the pigments, right? What are the major pigments? Pigments include chlorophyll, A and C, and fucoxanthin. Fucoxanthin will give brown or olive green to various shades of brown color. This gives olive green to various shades of brown color. This is for a single cell of brown algae, you have to remember, right ma? Cellulosic cell wall, above which hydrocolloid, that is algin. Storage food material is laminarin or mannitol. Pigments include chlorophyll A, C, fucoxanthin, okay, which exhibits olive green to various shades of brown color. If you consider reproduction, vegetative reproduction is via fragmentation, asexual reproduction is via zoospores, sexual reproduction is mostly anisogamous type. Okay? Sexual reproduction is mostly anisogamous type. Now, examples of brown algae. Includes laminaria, fucus, dictyota, ectocarpus. Okay, if ectocarpus is branched and extending to several feet, okay, if ectocarpus is branched and extending to several feet, that is known as what? Kelps. Okay, kelps are good source of iodine. Laminaria diagram is given, right? It has holdfast, stipe and frond. Okay, it has holdfast, stipe and frond. If you see fucus, it just has holdfast. From the holdfast region only frond will develop, and inside frond is the leaf-like structure. Okay, inside frond you can see air bladders or nematocytes. Next, Dictyota. Here there is no hold fast. Here you can see hold fast and frond. But in Dictyota there is no hold fast. You can just see stipe and dichotomous branched frond. Okay, stipe and frond is dichotomously branched. Can you see two branches everywhere? This is all about brown algae or Phaeophyceae. Done, ma? Done? Next. Third is Rhodophyceae or red algae. Consider a single cell. Cell wall is composed of cellulose. Above the cellulose there is a hydrocolloid. Hydrocolloid are what here? Agar, carrageen and fumarate. Got it? Inside the cell, the storage food materials include Floridian starch, it exhibits structural similarity with glycogen. Got it, ma? And in chloroplast, you have seen different pigments. What are the pigments that are present? Chlorophyll A, chlorophyll D. These are fat soluble pigments, but it also have certain amount of phycobilins. Those are R-phycoerythrin. R-phycoerythrin, which is water soluble pigment. That is the reason red algal members, even they are present in the shallower water regions or deeper water regions, they will perform the photosynthesis. Fine. This is about the cellular description about cell wall, storage food material and pigmentation. Got it, ma? Now, if you look into the examples of Rhodophyceae, examples of Rhodophyceae includes And Rhodophyceae members doesn't have any motile structures. There are no motile structures. Motile structures. Only mode of reproduction is oogamous type of reproduction. And they exhibit an evolutionary significance, that is showing complex post-fertilization events. Like how in the advanced plants after fertilization you can see post-fertilization events. In Rhodophycean class it exhibits oogamous type of reproduction, and it also shows complex post-fertilization events. Complex post-fertilization events. Okay. Examples include Porphyra, Polysiphonia, Gracilaria, Giladium. Giladium are the major sources of agar, okay, which is used in making the preparations of like jellies and ice creams. Polysiphonia exhibits the structural complex structural features also, like it has main branch and sub branches. And what is the advanced class in Chlorophycean members? Chara. Chara is the advanced green algae. Here it is Polysiphonia. Now you tell me, once you are done with this, we will have a comparative analysis of 3: Chlorophyceae, Phaeophyceae and Rhodophyceae. Then life cycles. Cell wall of brown algae is cellulose. What type of hydrocolloid is present? Algin. Of red algae? Agar and keratin. Storage food material in Chlorophyceae? Chlorophyceae, pyrenoids. Storage food materials in pyrenoids, it contains starch and proteins. In Phaeophyceae, storage food material is laminaria and mannitol. In Rhodophyceae, starch. Pigmentation in Chlorophyceae, AB. And then in Phaeophyceae, pigmentation, fucoxanthin. Pigmentation in Rhodophyceae, R-phycoerythrin, which is what type of pigment? Water soluble pigment. Okay. What are the examples of red algae? Porphyra, Polysiphonia, Gracilaria and Giladium. Examples of brown algae? Laminaria, Fucus, Dictyota, Ectocarpus and Sargassum also you can add. You can add this, Sargassum. Next, amongst this, which will show dichotomous branching? Dictyota. Which will have air bladders or nematocytes? Fucus. Next, reproduction is in asexual ways, it has zoospores. All the classes of algae will have this, except Rhodophycean members, they don't have motile structures. Sexual reproduction isogamous, Chlamydomonas. Isogamous with non-motile gametes, Spirogyra. Motile gametes, Eulothrix. Anisogamous, Eudorina. Oogamous, Volvox. Now about economic importance. We are left over with economic importance and life cycles. Firstly, as algae, as most of the algae are aquatic in their habitat, 60% of the dissolved oxygen is deposited by oxygenic photosynthesis. It will increase the dissolved oxygen levels in the aquatic habitats. Then unicellular algal members like chlorella and spirulina are used as protein supplements by space travelers. Fine. And next, ectocarpus profusely branched. If it is profusely branched, we will address it as kelps. Kelps are rich source of iodine. Red algal members like Gracilaria and Giladium are good sources of agar, which is used in the preparation of ice creams and jellies. This is the economic importance of algae. Then we will move on to life cycle. I'll tell you later. This you take down. Parasitic algae, largest, smallest, not required. How much ever is required for you, that much only I am delivering. Okay. This you learn it perfectly. Perfectly you apply for all the objective, it will be enough. Life cycles. We have haplontic life cycle. Most of the algae exhibit haplontic life cycle only. What does it mean? Let us suppose one example of Chlamydomonas. Okay, Chlamydomonas which are unicellular, each cell is haploid, right? Like that, two cells undergoing isogamous fusion, both they are morphologically similar, structurally similar. And then it forms a zygote, right? It forms a zygote. This zygote undergoes zygotic meiosis. Okay, and then it forms 4 cells. Each cell develops into a new Chlamydomonas. Each cell develops into a new Chlamydomonas. And each cell, if it is conducting asexual reproduction, it enlarges into a zoosporangium by giving rise to like zoospores. Each zoosporangium will bear many of the spore-like structures. Okay. Once it gets open, burst open, it will release all the zoospores. Each zoospore will develop into a new Chlamydomonas. Each zoospore develops into a new Chlamydomonas. Understood? This is asexual reproduction. This will be sexual reproduction. First, listen. 2 Chlamydomonas cells, haploid cells, undergoing what type of reproduction? Isogamous sexual reproduction. Okay. Forms a zygote which is diploid. Zygote is diploid. Undergoes what meiosis? Zygotic meiosis. Forms 4 cells which are haploid. Each develops into a new individual. For example, if it has to undergo asexual reproduction, it releases out spores. Each spore will multiply, will get multiplied inside zoosporangium. Once it gets burst open, each cell will give rise to a new individual Chlamydomonas. Understood, ma? So, if you see the entire life cycle, both asexual phase and sexual phase, the only diploid phase is what? Zygote. So, can I call it as haplontic life cycle? And what type of meiosis is happening here? Zygotic meiosis. Clear, no? Now there are few exceptions you have to know. Most of the algae will exhibit zygotic meiosis only. Most of the algae exhibits zygotic meiosis only, but there are few exceptions. Okay. Haplontic life cycle, what is the dominant plant body? Dominant plant body is gametophyte. Reduced is sporophyte. Gametophyte is dominant and it is independent. Sporophyte is dependent. It is dependent on the gametophyte. Okay. Now exceptions. First exception, haplodiplontic life cycle. Examples you can take Ectocarpus, Polysiphonia, Dictyota. Okay, these are the examples of what? Haplodiplontic life cycles, means in their life cycle they are exhibiting equal haplontic phases, equal diplontic phases. Next is diplontic life cycle. Example is fucus. Most of the phases in its life cycle is diploid. Very few reduced haplontic phases will be there. Here what is the dominant phase? Sporophyte. And in both haplodiplontic and diplontic life cycle, what type of meiosis will take place, ma? Sporic meiosis. This is all about algae. Got it? Take down, if you are having any doubts, you just ask me.